a study on this, and I've read books on it, several books, and something I think everyone can kind of relate to is having anxiety. We're getting anxious, worrying, like about a million different things. And I had some notes that I had written down, and I want to share those with you guys too. And basically about overcoming anxiety. This is actually part 1. We're not going to get to overcoming anxiety in part 1. How about that? It's kind of misleading. I should have put part 1 up there. Next week, I want to get to overcoming anxiety. Does anybody out there get anxiety? Yes? Yes, I do. I know I do.
They're too anxious to raise their hand.
Yeah, that's right. And something I want to cover, and what would be one of the last things I kind of go over is anxiety a sin? Which it's not, but I want to go over that. So, let me pray before I get started here, everyone. Lord Jesus, we thank you so much for the opportunity to come together here. We thank you for the blessing of this church. I pray you bless Pastor John as he's preaching today. Bless our church. God, bless the ministries that we support, and bless everyone here. Bless our families, God. I was looking through the prayer requests yesterday of some of the past weeks, and I pray you still answer those prayer requests. People who've asked for prayer for friends who have cancer or for a family member. God, I pray you just be with them in Jesus' name. Touch and heal them, and answer all the prayers, from knowing where to go in their life to finding the right spouse, whatever the case may be. God, I just pray you answer those prayers. In Jesus' name we pray and thank you. Amen. All right, so overcoming anxiety. First, you kind of have to know what it is. And something I thought about, I was, believe it or not, I was in the shower, I thought about this. I had the 2-in-1 bottle of body wash and shampoo. And how cool is that? 2-in-1 body wash and shampoo. You can make this hair smell like this hair or this hair, if you have that hair. It's pretty cool. I was like, it's all together in one. It takes all the worry out of, which ones do I get? It's very easy. I thought, that's great. You know what else seems to come in pairs and comes in one big bottle? Fear and anxiety. They all seem to kind of come together. If you could pull up that first slide for me, let's break them down. Anxiety and fear are distant cousins, but not twins. Fear sees a threat. Anxiety imagines one. You think about that. Think about that for a second. Think about what causes anxiety. It's thinking about something that could happen. Maybe something at work, in your life, something that's going to go on, and you are imagining that, hey, this could happen to me. And you get anxious, your palms start to sweat, you get a little worrisome, and then that's what anxiety is. Fear actually sees something. You see something and you're actually afraid of it. You see it and it's there. We went rock climbing at High Point Rock Climbing, and I got to tell you, who was there with me? Ross was? I was scared to climb that wall all the way to the top. I saw how high that was, and I could not climb up to the top. I was scared. I never did climb all the way to the top. I climbed this high. Next time I got a little higher. Next time a little higher. But I could not get all the way to the top. It was scary. I was scared. I'm going to be honest. I was scared. I told Nathan, I said, I am scared to climb to the top. He said, well, can you do it? Are you strong enough? I was like, I feel like I am. I know I'm older than you, but yes, I'm strong enough to climb to the top. And so he was actually belaying me. He's a certified belayer. It's a great word, belayer. And he was doing, and Ross goes right up to the top. He's like belays him all the way to the top, and Ross just pops down. Boom, boom, he's all good. Ross, I was like, so how many times have you climbed, Ross? Oh, this is my first time. I was like, oh. He's like, no fear. Were you a little scared, Ross?
Yes.
He was, okay. At the top. At the top, okay. I got halfway up, and I'm like, I'm going to fall. But my point is, I was afraid of what I could see, and then I couldn't get to the top. Anxiety imagines a threat. No, not yet. Anxiety imagines what could happen. Fear sees it. I know I was anxious too, climbing that wall. I was looking at the top like, what could happen if I get up there and I fall? I didn't trust the rope. I wasn't trusting Nathan. I wasn't trusting the fact that I could do it and then come back down safely. So fear is a pulse that sounds when you see a coiled rattlesnake in your front yard. You see it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. Anxiety is the voice that tells you you're never, ever going to walk barefoot in your front lawn again, because there might be a snake out there one day. So it's kind of always imagining things to be out there. Go ahead and pull up the next slide for me, Ashley. If it'll come up.
It doesn't like it.
Okay. So the next one I have is anxiety is a meteor shower of what ifs. And go ahead and play that video I have there. And what if I don't get this sale? What if I don't get that bonus? What if I can't afford the braces for my kids? What if they have crooked teeth? What if the crooked teeth keeps them from having a career? Or friends? Or a spouse? What if they end up homeless and hungry, holding up a sign that reads, anxiety is a meteor shower of what ifs. What if I don't get that sale? What if I don't get that bonus? What if my kids have crooked teeth? What if their crooked teeth cause them to not have a career or a job or a spouse? And then what if they end up holding up a sign that says, my parents couldn't afford braces for me? Anxiety is a meteor shower of what ifs. Do you guys have any what ifs in your life? Can you think about any right now? What if this happens? What if we were so scared to drive that we couldn't get behind the wheel of our car? Well, what if I get in an accident? It's possible. What if I go to my job today and I'm not able to complete it? Anxiety is trepidation. It's suspicion and apprehension. Like you're part Chicken Little and you're part Eeyore. The sky is falling and it's falling disproportionately right on top of you. That's where it's coming. It's not falling anywhere else. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, anxiety levels are reaching epidemic proportions. And this is a study I read. 50 million Americans a year experience panic attacks, phobias, and other anxiety disorders. According to a 2010 anxiety study, anxiety is the #1 mental health problem among women and second in men, only to alcohol and drug abuse. The United States is the most anxious country in the whole world. We're the land of, Samuel likes to say, stars and stripes. We have lots of stress and strife in our country. We have so many things in our country that can keep us calm. We have comfortable cars that are super safe. We have Volvos, guys, that have like 25 airbags. You hit something, you're covered in a big puff of air. We have so many things we've researched to make sure everybody is safe in everything that we have. We had Nike shoes that used to have pumps in them. I have no idea where I'm going with that. Between 1997 and 2004, Americans more than doubled the national spending on anti-anxiety and depression medicine like Xanax and Valium from $900 million to $2.1 billion. Can you just think about that, just how much just in that span of time? Now, before I go any further, I want to say that having to have medicine or whatever is not wrong. If you need that, pray about it, go see a doctor, go see somebody who specializes in that, and get that taken care of if that's something that has to be done. So I want to say that first and foremost, it is not wrong to do that if you have to. There are different forms of anxiety, and some may be something that has to be helped with medication. And I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist, so I couldn't tell you either one. But what I'm looking at is just everyday issues. Like I said, the what ifs. So we sit back and we get scared about things, and we imagine things that are happening, and they're not even really there. And we sit here and we think about, like I said, the what ifs. What if things that go on in our lives, and we're just coming up with an anxiety and a meteor shower of what ifs. So I find myself asking, again, why so anxious and depressed in our country? We have hospitals everywhere too. I was just thinking about that. If I get in an accident, I can go right to a hospital. They're almost everywhere. There's these urgent care centers everywhere. There's plenty of support. Look at the professionals in there. How many of you guys know a doctor? I know I do. I work with a guy, and his wife is a doctor, and I can ask him almost any question. And he's like, yeah, let me just ask Larissa. I'm like, sweet. We have access to so much in our country, and yet we're still anxious and worried. The part of the study I was doing talks about college kids being affected by anxiety. In a study that involved over 200,000 incoming freshmen, a psychologist named Robert Lehigh said the average child today exhibits the same level of anxiety as the average psychiatric patient in the 1950s. Kids today have more toys, we have more clothes, we have more opportunity, but by the time we leave home, we're wrapped tighter than an Egyptian mummy. And And you wonder, what is that? What is the reason for that? Now, there's, again, extenuating circumstances in your family. We don't know what's going on with your family life. We don't know what's happening there, and I understand that. But say, if you have all the opportunities and everything, you still, man, why am I so anxious about this? Why am I so worried about this? What's causing this? The reason I kind of thought about talking about this too, I hear people tell me that, just students or friends or family talk about having anxiety, and they're anxious, and they're worried about things, and that makes me think, Josiah, how do you handle that? How do you handle that with your wife? How do you handle that with your kids? What helps you through every day? Because I think about the what ifs. What if I die and I leave my family behind? What if something happens to my wife? How would I cope? How would I deal with that? What would happen to my kids? I don't even want to imagine those things. I try to push those things away and just keep my focus on the Lord. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added. And Jesus said, what one of you can add a single day to your life by worrying? So I think about those things. I'm like, it's not going to help. So definitely I don't want to waste my time worrying. So what is the cause of our anxiety? The other thing that made me think about this was on Monday, I came into work, and my coworker Aaron, some of you know Aaron, he said, hey, one of the people at the company that we actually send parts to, it's Avalan is their name, they're in Madison. One of the guys in their back office committed suicide on Friday. And he was saying, I don't understand why. I don't know why he did that. And I looked him up. First thing I did was look him up on Facebook. I find his name. It started with a Z, and I couldn't pronounce it. But his name was Z, is what they called him. And Aaron, every time, he's our warehouse manager. Every time he would deliver parts to them, he would play a game of ping pong with this guy in the back office. It's like, I didn't know you were playing ping pong, man. Sounds fun. But he said, the last time we played, that guy beat me, and I didn't get a chance to play him again and win back my trophy. And we were talking about, what's the reason? He had his reasons for why he thought he did what he did. I looked his posts up on Facebook, and he had interesting posts. And if you try to read into someone's psyche, he was 30 years old when he did that. And I just looked at his pictures. Like a week before, he had just gotten his haircut and was talking about where he went. And said, this guy did a great job. He had a picture of himself with his dog and his haircut. And he did it on Friday night, after the work week. It was just interesting, and I saw some of the posts of his other friends on their pages. And it was very sad. It was just kind of a sense of loss and, like, why? What happened? And I thought of anxiety. I thought of depression. I thought of fear. What is causing people to want to just get rid of it all? Where's the hope? What do they have hope in? So what is the cause of anxiety? It's change. We have changes in technology. We can hear news seconds after it happened. Those earthquakes in California, we're hearing about them almost while the rumbles are just ending. I get a message on my phone, 7.1 earthquake over here. By the way, in a baseball game now, I used to think this was cool. You find out about this the next day or 2 days later. But in a baseball game, when they hit a home run, they have the trajectory and how far it goes and the speed of the home run. Like right after it happens, that was a 447-foot home run by this player. I'm like, what? I mean, we know that now. I remember when I was a kid, you didn't know that stuff for days. 6 days ago, Mark McGwire hit a 500-foot home run. I'm like, that's cool. They didn't have trajectory. The ball is 117 miles an hour. We have so much information right here all the time. We know stuff as it's happening almost. It's almost real time. It's amazing. And the All-Star game, the home run derby, every home run, as soon as it's hit, 443, 442. I mean, just everything's just right there in real time. Back when our grandparents were alive, or they're still alive, but back when they were our age, they didn't hear about stuff for days, right? There's a fire in San Francisco. They might not hear about it until a day or two later. If there's something on the other side of the world, they might not have to hear about it for a week. And that's with newspapers. That's with telephones even. Stuff didn't travel as fast as it does now. So we have access to amazing amounts of depressing information right here, right in front of me right now. I can go into it and read it right now. And I'll see a post because I'll go to read about one thing, and over here on the right, so-and-so does this to this 3-year-old kid. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see that. That's awful. That makes me upset. So that's the news I don't even want to hear about. I like hearing the baseball stuff. I don't want to hear about that kind of news. So we move faster than we have before. Think about it. We can go across Jonathan, you fly for work, right? You can go anywhere in the world in a day, right? For the most part, you can go across time zones. You get somewhere, you're like, man, what time is it? I don't even know it's yesterday, and I left yesterday, and it's weird. I don't know what's going on. You know, you can go places and you can go back in time. It's completely different than it used to be. So we move faster than we have ever before. Personal challenges. You or someone you know is experiencing foreclosure, cancer, divorce, addiction, they're bankrupt or broke or they're going out of business. Everybody has stuff going on. You or somebody you know. Somebody, if you think about it in your head, you think, man, I just saw my aunt. I just saw my brother. I saw my cousin. Somebody's experiencing something in that. You say, well, that can happen to me too. You say, what if? And then getting older. I think about that for me. I'm like, I'm getting older. Stuff changes. Stuff changes in your life. Your hair changes colors. You start to lose hair, or stuff doesn't fit the way it used to. You're not as strong as you used to be. Maybe you need more sleep. You get tired at 11. You used to stay up all night. That's me. So you think about all those things changing in your life. You know what? And as I'm talking about all this, I was like, man, when I talk about this tomorrow, this is going to sound way depressing to everyone. I was reading my notes. I was like, oh my goodness. Talking about anxiety can cause you to have anxiety. So are Christians, are we free from work? No. Oh, we are not. Do you know what the number one book search for on Kindle is? Number one book. No guesses? It has 66 books in it. The Bible. The Bible is the number one research book on Kindle. And you know what the number one verse is? And I would have it up here if our good old projectors are working. That's not your fault. The number one verse is Philippians 4:6. Be anxious for nothing. That's the number one research verse. And you know why? Because people have anxiety. We're anxious. We're taught that the Christian life is a life of peace and tranquility. And if we don't have peace, we assume that we have a problem. So then, not only are we anxious, then we're anxious that we feel anxious. Like, oh my gosh, I'm anxious. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm a Christian. I'm supposed to be setting that bar high for all my friends. And here I am, feeling anxious. I'm worried about things. Then we get worried about it, and then we worry. And it's worry guilt, worry guilt, worry guilt. It's enough to make you anxious. Can anybody agree with that? You feel like that sometimes?
Yeah.
Paul said to be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for less would have been good, right? Be anxious only on Thursday, Ross. Only on Thursday you can be anxious. That's your cheat anxiety day. He didn't say that. He didn't say be anxious when you're going through a severe crisis. He said be anxious for nothing. Now here's the cool thing about that. You know, in 1 John, he talks about, actually maybe 3 John, I should have researched that. He talks about, he says to not sin. If you love God, you don't sin, right? He was talking about sinning habitually. Like you don't do it because you want to please God. If you do sin, you repent, you ask for forgiveness because it may happen, right? If we sin. The same with anxiety. If we have anxiety, right? It's to not have habitual anxiety. That's the point I'm trying to make. You don't have habitual. It's like you get anxious, but you don't live in a state of perpetual anxiety. Right? So I'm worried about something. Do I stay worried about it forever? Do I need to stay worried about it forever? Or can I say, you know what? I can give this to Jesus. He said to be anxious for nothing. There's a reason God said to be anxious for nothing. There's a reason Jesus himself said not to worry. Because he knows that we're going to worry. It's going to happen. Don't live in a perpetual state of worry. Don't live in a perpetual state of anxiety. The last slide that I was going to pop up here, actually it's the third, it was the verse, excuse me, the fourth slide. The presence of anxiety is unavoidable. The prison of anxiety is optional. So I'm going to say that again. You can write this down if you need to. The presence of anxiety is unavoidable. The prison of anxiety is optional. You can choose to say, you know what? I got anxious. I had a moment. I'm going to give it to the Lord. Right now, Jesus, I surrender this to you. I'm a little scared. I'm a little unsure, but I'm going to trust you. So, a famous quote I saw is, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. That's a comforting thought if you think about that. Jesus made you, he made the world, he made everything. He talked about worry. Why would he talk about worry? Why would Jesus, he's performing miracles, he's raising the dead, he's raising Lazarus, come forth. Come on, Lazarus, get out of that grave. And then he also says, Kirsten, don't worry. You're not going to add a single day to your life. Megan, don't worry. You're not going to add a moment to your life by worrying. Studies actually show that worry causes, I wouldn't say health issues, but it's not good for you to constantly be in a moment of high stress. It actually it's not good for you. It's not healthy to always be stressed and always have worry. Now, again, anxiety is not a sin, and that's what I'm going to get into next week. So you can be assured, okay, hang on, that's my notes. You can be assured that having anxiety is not wrong. It happens to everyone. Now, it could lead to sin, and we're going to get into that next week. I have a part 2, and I have a lot more to talk about on this. I just wanted to do an introduction of talking about what anxiety is. So anxiety and fear are distant cousins. Anxiety imagines a threat. Fear actually sees one. So remember that. Anxiety imagines something being there. If you're sitting there thinking, is this going to happen? There's a good chance it could, but there's a good chance that it won't. I get anxious personally. I've got anxious, before a job interview. Wow. Who's had to do a job interview? Anybody? Yeah, right? Oh my goodness. They talk about anxiety. Palms sweat. My palms will sweat. And then you know what else sweats? Your armpits. My gosh, even the best degree. My goodness, I will sweat. And I sat there and like, oh man, okay, I gotta remember to say this. I gotta say it this way. When I used to interview I worked at Verizon for 10 years. If you interviewed there, they wanted every answer to be in a 3-part answer. Star format. It's annoying. Like I could get the best answer, but like, well, you didn't say this one part over here. And you could get so anxious. I remember people freaking out about doing interviews there because it was so nerve-wracking. I was like, this is Verizon. Why am I getting nerve-wracked about an interview at Verizon? But I'll tell you what I did. I used to pray. Say, Lord, please help me in this interview. Holy Spirit, please be with me. You're in there with me. I don't remember everything that I'm supposed to say. Please help me to remember. And I would also, and believe it or not, I would tell myself, you got this. You know what you're doing. You're good for this. Do your best. And if you don't get it, then that's fine. But you give it 100%. You got this. God has given you every tool you need. Be anxious for nothing. Get that moment of anxiety. Have it. And use that to your strength. Turn it into power for yourself. And you'll be amazed at what can happen. I've been through this. When I spoke that Wednesday night in the main sanctuary, when I preached to the whole church, that was the most nervous I've been in a long time. I think there's Pastor John over here. There's the elders of the church. These are people that I've been going to church with for 9 years. And I'm preaching to them. What do I have to say to them that they've never heard before? What can I do that they haven't heard or seen before? How can I even do that? You start thinking of all these things in your head. But one thing, I don't believe those are coming from God. Anxiety does not come from God. Those lies aren't coming from God. So first thing I think, you know what? This is an opportunity from God. God, you're speaking through me anyway. It's not me. They're not here to hear me. They're here to hear from you. Right now, what I believe I'm saying here, this is for me, from God to you. It's for me too, though. I'm not here to say anything that I don't practice myself, that I don't need to hear myself. And if I was up here saying my opinions, I'll just be a politician. That's all I would be. I'm up here to sell myself. I am not here to do that. And that's the thing with also talking in the main sanctuary. Pastor John, when he's preaching, he's not there to sell himself. He's there to share what God has spoken to him. And that's all I want to do here. And when I put that in my brain, I'm like, God, so this is you speaking through me. You're going to give me the strength. We just read about Moses. And Moses freaked out when God said to let his people go. Just all the excuses. I was reading the story with our kids the other night in their kids' version of the story. And he just reading it, he sounded whiny and scared. I was like, man, this is Moses. He's the hero of our faith. He was 11, man. This is the guy right here. Look how scared he was. He said, well, I want to send Aaron with you. And he was still scared. He's like, well, I'm going to give you 3 miracles. 3. First one, you throw down that staff, it's going to turn into a snake, grab it by the tail, and boom, it's back to a staff. Stick your hand in your shirt. Pull it out, it's leprosy. Woo! That would freak me out, my goodness. Stick it back in. It's good. And he gave him a third one, he didn't tell him to do it. He said, pour water on the ground, it's going to turn to blood. He said, that if they don't believe those first 2, they'll believe that third one. Moses, I'm still scared. I am still scared. This is Moses, everyone. He had God speaking to him from a bush that is not burning, still scared. So think about yourself. God, if Moses can be scared and worried and full of anxiety, so can I. So can I. And who's he going to see? This is the most powerful man in the world at the time, Pharaoh. He knew all about it. He's like, man, I was there for 40 years. I know how it works. I was on the inside. I saw what was going on in that country. I saw what they did to people, man. I ran scared. I ran with my tail between my legs out of Egypt. I was scared to death about what would happen to me. I killed a dude, and I took off. And I've been here for 40 years, and now you're telling me to go back? I don't want to go back. I don't have talent. I don't have what it takes. So take a lesson from him. Take a lesson from Moses. Look at him. He asked God for all that, and he was still scared. What tools has God given us to be able to stand up for him, to be able to do what he's called us to do? What tools has he given us? He's given us his word, something Moses didn't have. He hadn't even written the Bible yet. Whoops. I haven't even written the Bible yet. So, and you still want me to go and talk to Pharaoh? I think about that. For me growing up, I thought the story of Moses was the best story in the Bible. He's still one of my heroes, everyone. So next week, I want to finish talking about this. I want to give you the next steps in overcoming anxiety. What I wanted to talk about today is what it is. What anxiety really is. And that we all struggle with it. Moses struggled with it. Jesus talked about it. We're still dealing with it. People are still writing books about it. People are still trying to figure out how to overcome anxiety. So I want to talk to everyone here about that. Everybody has a chance to feel anxious every day. I get anxious thinking about, man, I got to get my notes ready. I get anxious thinking about, I got to get up and go to work. I get anxious. We all think about these things. Turn it into energy. Turn it into energy. Can I get everyone just to stand? Stand with me as I pray. And maybe put your arm on the shoulder of the person next to you. Neil, you want to come up here and put your arm on these guys? Hallelujah. Lord, we thank you for your word, God. We thank you for books and for studies that kind of show us maybe what anxiety is and where it comes from. We thank you that you talk about it in your word. We thank you that you show us people like Moses who had anxiety himself and how he overcame it and what you did to help him. God, you helped him. God, you also, Jesus, you talked about it when you were here because you know it's a real thing. And I thank you that you care about us so much that you talk about the little things like that we may think is little, is worry or anxiety, but it can hinder us if we're not really ready for what you have for us. And I just pray that you help us all with that. God, I can't wait to show the next part of what you have for us next week. And God, I thank you for that. God, I thank you for your word. I pray you bless everyone here as we go about our weeks. God, I pray that you bless the ones who aren't with us today. And God, we thank you for that. God, we can talk to you. You're the God of this universe, and you hear these prayers that we pray. And God, I thank you that we're all in agreement here today, and we just ask you to be with us as we go forth. In Jesus' name we pray and thank you. Amen.